There are some things about Jeffrey Epstein that remain untold and hidden. Keep watching the video until the end, because every second you will be more and more surprised. Jeffrey Edward Epstein. Most of us learned this name from the news or social media. Some of the people watching right now have no idea who this person is and what exactly he has done. Before start the video, if you want to support for free, you can subscribe to the channel below and like the video, so I can produce more valuable content for you. So let's start. Jeffrey Epstein was born into a Jewish family, and believe it or not, he was even a teacher for a while. Then he became interested in finance and he became very good at it. And when I say developed, I mean he became a wolf of the business. The important thing for him to learn was how to deceive people. Very interestingly, in 1987, Stephen Hoffenberg, a multi-billionaire, hired him knowing this dishonest side of him. Jeffrey, the master of deceit, was going to be useful to him. Together, they created the infamous Ponzi scheme and made unbelievable money by cheating people. Hoffenberg was openly confessing in a speech on Netflix that he had committed a crime, that he had set up the Ponzi scheme, the games Jeffrey played to attract investors and manipulate the markets. I couldn't understand why Hoffenberg confessed so openly, but when I looked into it, I found out that this old man was found dead in his own home in 2022. Epstein had made a fortune in the 90s thanks to Hoffenberg. Then he added to his fortune stocks, investments, houses and cars. He was now a rich man. That's when he met Jeffrey Glenn Maxwell, and that's where it all began. The two met in 1991 through a mutual friend. And later socialized with Donald Trump and Bill Clinton, among many other celebrities. After a while, the two moved into a $5 million house in New York City. In 1994, Glenn started helping Jeffrey Epstein with something, finding underage girls. They would find them and sort of prepare them for Jeffrey's perverted world. It was all consensual, but it was never innocent because the bullying was in the background. One of the first girls to be victimized was Annie Farmer. They said to her, "Look, this man is very rich and he's well connected. He can be a reference for you to go to better schools." Then they invited her to a ranch in New Mexico, which was isolated. It was usually Glenn who befriended her to stay there. First, he taught her how to massage. They would massage Jeffrey together, and sometimes Glenn would go out. Jeffrey was slowly preparing the young girl for his perverted thoughts, almost like a training process. Jeffrey would start to approach them and see what they would do. The young girl was disturbed by Jeffrey's behavior. Jeffrey said to her, "Don't complain. Please, I can give you money or whatever you want." But she still went to the police and filed a complaint. But the police ignored it, because the person she was complaining about was a celebrity that everyone knew. Nobody wanted to deal with him without any evidence. The fact that this complaint went nowhere only whetted Epstein's appetite. His confidence grew. He stayed away from it for a while, but then he went hunting again.
Hello? Hi, how are you? I'm good. It was an incident that occurred maybe like three and a half weeks ago with one of my stepdaughters. Wednesday at school, two guys would fight, and she had over $300 on her. After asking her what was going on, found out that ended up being that they went to Palm Beach to a gentleman's house, and they start off by giving this gentleman a massage. If he pays them, if he likes them, and he thinks that they're pretty enough, he keeps them around to do other things.
Well, this is the first I'm hearing of it.
Okay.
What I will need is some more information.
The mother found out that her underage daughter was earning money by massaging an older man and was deeply disturbed. According to her mother, several young girls were going to Jeffrey's house in Palm Beach and earning money by giving him massages. Later, one of these girls decided to testify.
I appreciate you coming down to talk to me. How did you meet Mr. Epstein?
They were friends. Like 2 years ago or so.
You were 17 then? What is it that you were told you would have to do?
Give him a massage.
Okay. During the massage, did he,
Yes.
According to the young girl, Jeffrey was asking them not only to give him massages, but to do more than that inappropriately. When the complaints to the police increased, the prosecutor started an investigation. They interviewed several more girls and then persuaded an outside witness, an employee in Palm Beach, to talk.
what can you tell me about that?
He has a lot of masseurs, you know. He has a list of favorite female personnel to give him massage and cold doors. It was my job to keep everything discreet, you know, so...
Would you say these girls were young?
You put me on the spot, sir.
The employee said that young girls were coming to the house. This was an important detail for the investigation. He added that he would get in trouble if he said more. He obviously knew a lot more. So how did they get so many young girls to come? Did they persuade them in bars or entertainment venues? No, in a more subtle way.
She said she just goes to old guy's house and just massage him for like 45 minutes and you get like $200.
The people who persuaded them were usually young girlfriends like themselves. They would convince these girls who would come to the house for massages and earn money by saying, "If you bring your friend, we'll pay you twice as much." And they would somehow convince their girlfriends at school and in their neighborhood. The girls who were persuaded that they would only get a massage would get more than just a massage. Some of them could not say anything out of fear. Some don't care about it. Some ignored it because they saw that others did not complain. Almost all of the young girls who were victimized were vulnerable girls. They were almost specialized in this because they all needed money in one way or another. Unfortunately, it was an easy way to make $200 and more in just a couple of hours, and that's what they chose. As the investigation continued, the police obtained a search warrant and raided the house in Palm Beach. During the raid, many nude pictures were seen. There was a massage room and some computers, but no incriminating evidence was found. They definitely knew that this raid was going to happen. There was an island that Jeffrey Epstein bought in 1997, and he built houses there and perfected it. This island in the Caribbean was also very isolated, and it's not hard to see why he built houses in isolated places. The island was like a paradise, and after 2006, they were persuading some girls to stay on this fancy island. Moreover, the girls would get money, and the events unfolded as you know. Underage girls were coming in and out of the island, and perverted dreams were coming true. But what was different this time was that other famous guests started to come to the island. Allegedly, a lot of famous names that you all surely know came to the island. Epstein reportedly told them about the island and made it available for them to fulfill their perverted fantasies. The list of famous people named in the case file was quite long, some from politics, some from Hollywood, writers, historians, physicists, all famous names. There is no evidence at the moment of who was involved, only testimony from people who saw and heard them coming. As I said, there were a lot of people coming to the island. It was like the island of the perverts. As this was going on, probably one of the girls had an incident that made her very uncomfortable and she wanted to leave the island. But Jeffrey gave her a warning. If you try to get out of the situation or say anything to anyone, it's not going to be good for you. Because I know where you go, where you are at what time and who you hang out with. We also have your tapes. Every room, toilet, bathroom and bedroom you've ever been in has been recorded. This threat was enough to silence her and the other girls, but the FBI did not let it go and continued to investigate. In 2006, the FBI compiled 34 corroborated reports from young girls supporting the allegations, and a lawsuit was filed. Epstein was found guilty of abusing 2 young girls, one of whom was under the age of 18, but for some reason he was only sentenced to 18 months in prison. What's more, he was to serve it in a special ward with occasional access to the outside. You see, it was a negotiated prison sentence. Jeffrey served 13 months and got out of prison, only to find out later that Alexander Acosta, the district attorney, had helped Epstein do it. Jeffrey served only 13 months and walked free, having gotten away with everything. Jeffrey was free, but justice had to be served sooner or later. In 2009, after 10 years, Judge Mera ruled that the 2006 case had been irregular and that the rights of the victims had been violated. All of Jeffrey's homes were searched, and dozens of indecent CDs, pictures and documents of young girls under 18 were found. The case was reopened, and this time Jeffrey was willing to give up his entire fortune to be released. But the jury refused and sentenced him to life in prison. His partner and former lover, Glenn Maxwell, would be sentenced 2 years later, in 2021, to 20 years in prison. Do you think it all ended here? It didn't. On July 23, 2019, Jeffrey was found lying on the floor of his prison cell, injured and unconscious. His cellmate, former New York cop Nicholas, denied any involvement. Jeffrey was transferred to another cell, and on August 10, 2019, Jeffrey was found dead in his cell at 6:30 a.m. It was thought that he had killed himself, but it turned out that he had been taken from his cellmate the day before, that the cameras in his solitary cell had malfunctioned that night, and that the guards had fallen asleep. According to conspiracy theorists, some of the very famous people who came to visit Jeffrey's island were afraid that he would speak, perhaps reveal some of the footage he had recorded, so they phoned a few places and had him disappear. In the end, one more pervert who preyed on people's weaknesses was erased from the world. But then another detail emerged. According to some confidential sources, Jeffrey Epstein was interested in improving the human race through genetic engineering and artificial intelligence, and was planning to seed the human race with his own DNA, to set up a baby farm and impregnate up to 20 women at the same time to perfect the children that would be born. If he succeeded, there are now perhaps dozens of children growing up with his DNA, and they are the descendants of a pervert, Jeffrey Edward Epstein. You are on the Interesting Topics channel. Don't forget to subscribe for more valuable content. See you in the next video.